welcome back to my channel. It's me, Mona Vlogs. Okay, so as you can see, I am wearing my business attire today. And the reason for that is because today was my naturalization interview. I know I haven't been posting for a long time, but this right here is an experience that I really needed to vlog just so, of course, for safekeeping, knowing that I have been through this process, and at the same time, for everybody who is following me, or for those who have not, or for those who have just, encountered through my videos by, checking what are the naturalization process. So, yes, I am actually video blogging this just so I would be able to let you know what are my experience. Today was my naturalization interview. Today is February 17th. At 2 p.m., I went to the USCIS office at San Bernardino for my interview. You don't have to arrive early because due to COVID, they wanted you to be there at least 15 minutes before your your interview time. Okay, so right after that, at exactly 1:45 in the afternoon, I went to the office. There's not that much line because there are not that much people in there. And then when you go in, there's gonna be COVID questions that they're gonna ask you. Whether if you travel within the last 3 months, have you been exposed to someone who has COVID, or are you awaiting a COVID test? If you answer no to all of that, then they're gonna ask you to go ahead and proceed to do the checkpoint. The checkpoint, what I mean was that they're gonna check your bags, your watches, if you wear a watch, or your belt. They're gonna put it in a tray, and the tray goes inside a conveyor to check if there's any illegal items or weapons in there for security purposes. Now, once that is done, of course, they're gonna check you through a detector. They're gonna let you go through a detector, just like how you go through in an airport, to see if you're also carrying any legal items or weapons. Right after that, they're gonna let you proceed to the waiting room. Now, in this case, I was really, really nervous. Just, be honest. So I went to the restroom first before I proceeded. So right after that, I went to where the waiting area is. They submitted. They were actually asking for the first page of my appointment together with my green card. And by the way, before the security will let you inside the USCIS office, they're going, of course, to check your appointment letter, at the same time your green card too, if it matches. Right after that, of course, the waiting game starts. So when I was there, I was on time. I was probably like waiting like around 30 minutes before they call my name. So right after 30 minutes, I still have all that time. I didn't wait that much longer. I'm like, I think I went through some of the other videos. I think some of the people said they waited for like an hour for them to be able to get called. For me, my end, I was waiting like 20 to 30 minutes. But I still took that time to just review, just to check whatever it is that answered on my N400 form, because sometimes, when you get too nervous, what's going to happen is that you tend to forget the dates and the years, in which what actually happened with me. And but anyway, I'm just going to go ahead and say or tell you whatever are the questions that I had, that was asked um, that was asked from me. I'm sorry, no, the word was, I'm gonna go ahead and let you know what are the questions that was asked by my officer when I had my civics test. Hello. Okay, so as promised, I'm gonna give you the questions that was asked from me, and these are actually the questions that I can remember. I know that they're gonna ask you 10 questions, and then you need to pass 6 out of those 10 questions. So I'm going to give you The most that I can remember that was asked of me. So, just to tell you, I was really nervous. So the moment you went in there, most likely it's either you are or it's either you are concentrating too much on what's going to be the next question that he's going to ask you, that in the end you might end up forgetting it, or you might be the kind of person that even though despite the stress, the pressure, and the nervousness, you can still remember what was the question that was asked of you, um, asked to you. So the question that I got from my officer was okay. Okay, so one of that was okay, so one of the question was if both the president and the vice president can no longer serve, who becomes president? And of course, the answer for that question is the Speaker of the House. So that's was one of the questions that I have. Um, and another one was, I'm sorry, please do bear with me because I'm actually flipping through the 100 pages that I have here. One of the question was, when was the Declaration of Independence adopted? So of course the answer for that is July 4, 1776. So that's one of the questions that I have. Okay, and another one was sorry about this. Bear with me, please. So another question was, I think I already gave you two. Okay, the third question that I got was, where is the Statue of Liberty? So my answer for the question was New York Harbor, and he was like, correct. So I was so happy that I got that correctly, and I will try to remember with all these questions that I have right here, to see if I remember what was the other question. Okay, so yeah, I believe, okay, so I believe I was actually asked, how many amendments does, sorry, how many amendments does the Constitution have? And of course, the answer to that is 27. So yeah, I already actually gave you 4 out of the 10 questions that I got. Oh, okay, and this one too, I remember. In what month do we vote for president? So my answer to that question is in the month of November. So as far as I remember, that's actually one of, oh, and I remember one more. So, okay, so under our Constitution, some powers belong to the federal government. What is one power of the federal government? And my answer was to print money. So I believe those are just the questions that I got. And then right after that, when he told me that I already passed my civics test, so happy, he then proceeded in my reading and writing test. So for the reading, he typed something and he printed it out on the paper, a question that reads, who lives in the White House? So he made me read that from the paper, and then he told me that I passed. So I was so happy with that. And then the next one was, he made me write the answer to the question. So he gave me a piece of paper. Um, he asked me to write the answer to the question, which was, the president lives in the White House. And right after I wrote that sentence, I gave it back to him, and then he read it. He read it, I mean, and he told me that I passed the test. Now, here is actually Um, and another thing. So you actually do have to make sure that whatever information that you have in your N400 is that you would, as much as possible, remember what you put in there, because they will really be asking you a lot of questions from the form. Now, this is the thing. So, what happened was when I filled out my N400 form, I actually printed out the questions with the answers. I'm not gonna focus on that one because, of course, my personal information was there. So it asks you the basic questions like what is your name, email address, telephone number. So you have to make sure that if you're working, you have to make sure you know the full address, even as simple as the zip code of your work address, because they're going to ask you about that. And if you're the person who forgot that information, they will actually not let you go back to your N400 or whatever paperwork that you have to check that information, because they will not let you. Okay, so now in my case, I actually transferred to a new job in March of last year. Now, being, how to say this? I'm not saying that I do not work every day, or let's just say, well, I commute every day to work. It's not just on a drive. But anyway, being that I don't use the address that much of my work, I actually forgot the zip code of my work address. So when my officer asked me that question, well, it was so stupid of me to ask if I can take a look to see what the address of my job site is, but he didn't let me. So he ended up saying, okay, no worries, I have it here. But of course, I should have known that from the beginning. It's just a simple zip code, but it means a lot because it's an information that they would be asking from you, not you, telling them to, hey, like look for it or Google it. Because as an applicant, you should be knowing all those detailed informations that they needed from you. Even though it's simple as a zip code, how much more if it's going to be the phone number. So make sure to study all the information that you have in your N400 form. So right after we went all through my address, he asked me how long or when did I came here. Of course, I provided him that answer. And let me see here. So yeah, as I mentioned a while ago, I actually told him that I had a new work March last year. We have to make sure also the specific date, because if that's the kind of information that's not on your N400 yet, like in my case, that information or my new work was not added into my N400 when I applied for it, then you are obliged to provide new information into your officer, just so they would be able to update your work experience, or let's just say school and employment information into your N400 form. Now, so for the military service, now is this questions, the next couple of questions that I had is actually a yes or no question. No, you have to make sure that since nowadays everybody is wearing a face mask, you have to make sure to listen carefully on everything that they say. Though with my officer, he was so kind, he was actually telling me that if in the event I don't understand whatever he's saying, I should let him know, just so he would be able to repeat the question and I would be able to understand what his question was. So anyway, of course, as what I mentioned, they're gonna ask you a simple, a yes or no question. Um, like for example, like, okay, let me go back. Like, let me go back, by the way. So right after that, I was actually asked for my husband's name. How long have we been married? When did we get married? Did he got married? Or how many prior marriages do we have? Do we have me and him? And of course, you're gonna answer that with the answers. Um, okay, so right after that, of course, we proceeded with a yes, what I mentioned, a yes or no question, like the moral character. They were asking you if have you ever claimed to be a U.S. citizen in writing or in any way. Of course, the answer was no. Um, if I ever have um, a hereditary title or an order of nobility in any foreign country, like, oh, are you a prince or a princess? Of course, no. So, it's basically whatever questions that you have here in your N400 form, in which you should have a copy so that you can go ahead and review it. I'll also have a question here. Always also ask if we owe any taxes. So, in the event that you actually do owe any overdue taxes, and ever you already paid for that, you have to make sure at least to have um, a copy or a copy of your payment. Let's just say a check or any bank statement that shows the Treasury of the United States or anything like that. Just so if in the event if they're gonna ask you for the receipt for proof of payment, you're already with it. Just like in my case, we had an overdue taxes. I actually got ready with a copy of the check that we paid addressed to the Treasury, and I got that ready because just in case if they are actually going to ask me for a copy, I will go and I will be able to go ahead and provide them that information. So let me see. Also, I have another question here that says that ask if I ever tried to. So, of course, that's what I mentioned. They're gonna ask you the questions, the yes or no questions on your N400 form. And I remember that at the moment when he asked me, "Have you ever made any misrepresentation to obtain any public benefit in the United States?" When I answered no, he asked me, "Okay, so what do you think does that mean?" So I actually answered it the best as I can, as to my own understanding. So I just actually told him that. Um, um, Falsely informing people that you are an American citizen just so you can get eligibility. You can get eligible for public benefits. So and he at that time he was saying, okay, yeah, um, that's good. So apart from that, they're gonna ask you questions regarding about like that's what I mentioned about your moral character. Let's just say, have you ever killed anybody? Are you have you been in jail or prison, or have you ever been a habitual drunkard? Um, have you ever been a prostitute or procured anyone for prostitution? Have you ever been married to more than one person at one time? So all of that kind of question. And as I was actually going through YouTube videos from other people who had already have um, experiences with their interviews, some of them were actually even asked definition of terms. Now, I honestly wasn't ready for that. I was happy I went through all those videos because I get to prepare myself. So what I did was, so if you can actually go through the questions of your N400 form, it says right here, for example, were you ever a member of or did you ever serve in help or otherwise participate in a police unit? So of course my answer to that is no. So what happened was with some other people who were interviewed, they were actually asked, okay, so what is a police unit? Because they were actually trying to identify whether you really understand what they're asking you. So what I did was, knowing that some of the officers were actually asking those kind of questions to them, I just wanted to be ready. And I want you guys to be ready too. So regardless if they're gonna ask you or not, at least you do have a question. You do have sorry, you do have an answer, and you won't, make up the definition. You know what I mean. Um, so what I did was I took some of the, like, how do you say this? Main subject. I don't know if that's how you call it. Main subject of the question. Let's just say, for example, as what I mentioned, like with the question a while ago, have you ever been a member of a police unit? So just to understand like what a police unit is, so I went online, and if you can see here, this is my notes. So police unit. So it shows in there that a police unit means a body of trained officers entrusted by a government with maintenance of public peace and order. So I kind of like memorize only that part as much as I can, just so if they're gonna ask me, at least I know what the answer is. So these right here are my notes. As what I mentioned, it's better to be prepared than not. So I have definition of terms here, which is a part of the questions that they will ask you. Says, what does genocide mean? Military unit, Nazi, terrorist, paramilitary unit, police unit, vigilante, rebel group, guerrilla group, militia, insurgent organization, torture crime, lawful permanent resident, legally incompetent, communist party, and so on. So anyway, I actually printed this one out just so in the event they would actually ask me, um, I would know, um, what it's all about, and that I wouldn't have to make up definitions. Okay, so what I also did was that while I'm waiting, I think I already mentioned a while ago that I was waiting for like 20 or probably 30 minutes in the waiting room. So I printed out my the civics, history, and government questions for the naturalization test. I kind of went through it for the last time, and what I did was, by the way, is that since I work while I'm at work, I actually listen to it as much as I can every day. I got what do you call this thing? I think not really downloaded, but I saved like a certain video of questions and answers for civic test that I could just answer the moment when they asked me the moment they asked the question. I answered that with my own, even with my own, even though the video is going to answer it for itself. But anyway, that's actually how I studied. But just to tell you, if you actually do have someone with you, like you have your husband or your boyfriend or your friend or whoever can help you, this will actually they will actually really help you a lot. Because the first time I studied this, I actually do have the booklet, but I don't know where it is right now. So I had actually my husband help me, and I was so happy. He was so patient with me. He was the one who did the question and answer, and he helped me the most that he can to memorize the answers in a simple way. If you have someone who can help you study, especially with a question and answer, that would be really best, and I really recommend that because it's easier when you study with someone who can ask you questions and at the same time you give them back the answer, so that if in the event that you will forget the question, whoever that person is helping you ask the question, they can help you by giving you little hints wherein that would help memorization a little bit more easier. Okay, so right after that, by the way, with my N400 um, personal questions. So since I came here as a spousal visa, they actually do have a lot of questions about, about my marriage, like how long did I meet my husband. So this is just a tip. for those uh, persons who came here with an IR1, which is a spousal visa, or maybe even like fiance visa too. You have to of course make sure that as much as you can. Um, I know for sure that you wouldn't forget, really eventful, really special dates, like the first time you meet your husband, or when did you guys married, or where did you get married, and how did you meet. But it's really helpful also that, you just have to go and run through everything, because when you're nervous, yeah, even those kind of things, you will forget small details. So um right after that, I was actually in the with the officers. I'm sorry, I was with the officer for like an hour. So he went back and forth with my N400 and into his computer. So he was probably trying to verify some information about my paperwork. And right after a long, probably 45 minutes to an hour. Oh wait, no, that's already including my question and answer, my civic test, my reading and writing. Well, he already gave me my paper, in which I was so happy. That says I passed my civic test, and at the same time, he recommended me um, for my naturalization. Yay! So what happened was, he informed me to go to the oath room, and then when I went down to go to the oath ceremony room, I was greeted by someone who gave me paperwork wherein I would need to fill up, just so if there's changes, um, any information that changes that happened right after my interview, in which there wasn't, because I was just interviewed like 5 minutes ago, right after, or right before I went down. I would be able to provide that information. But anyway, I answered no to everything because there wasn't any changes. Everything stayed the same, and I have to put my name in there, address, sign it, that's it. Right after that, the lady told me to go find the seat all the way up to the front, and I actually thought that we're waiting for other people to, you know, take the oath with me. But when the moment I sat down, this lady, I'm not really sure, probably she was the judge, who preceded the oath of allegiance. Um, she told me that she has my certificate, and she told me to check it right after I take my oath, just to make sure everything is correct, the spelling is correct, the address is correct, everything that's on there is correct. And then he asked me to stand up, and that was it. I I took my oath of allegiance with her, so I followed her while she was while she was saying the oath of allegiance. I followed her every line with my right hand like this, and right after that, they congratulated me. I'm already now an American citizen. So, no, since there was nobody in the room, it was just me, um, the lady uh, who preceded the oath of allegiance with me, and the other lady who helped me, or who greeted me while I came inside. It was just us who was in the room with me, while I took my oath of allegiance. So, guys, that's it. That's actually my very um, nerve-wracking, um, kind of fast and fulfilling. I don't know. That's how I um, describe it, or let's just say really, really happy moment or experience that I can actually share to you as to how did I get my American citizenship. So I am so happy. Right after that, I actually called my husband right away, telling him the very wonderful news. And then I called my parents telling them about what happened, in which what you will actually see in the next video right now. Pa, ma, ma. Yay! Yo, yo, yo! Ana!
Wow. Hindi na kita anak.
Amerikano na yung mong anak!
Amerikanong pangahilong. Ay, ikit na vlog, guys. Guys,
Ha?
ikit na vlog, wala na ang certificate.
Yeah, of course. Tara!
Congrats, guys.
Thank you! Ha? Oh, because it's COVID time. So, they can't have like group of people in the office. Ako ra gani usang nag-oath. I think how far was it? Like probably like 30 minutes.
30 minutes, yeah.
30 minutes gikan sa balay.
San Bernardino.
San Bernardino. Ha?
Masaya, okay, kanta ka.
Wala. Nag-on ako. Oath.
Wala, ba yung magiliw?
Wala. Wala.
Ito yung oath, babe.
Right here.
Oath.
Yan oh.
Show Mom and Papa pledge allegiance.
Oath of allegiance. Oh, they actually still have this.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, muna. Kuan na mo. Mag-tourist visa na mo. Manglaag na mo diri.
Next is passport. We need to get a passport.
Magkuha pa og passport niya. Punpuhon kung may manglaag na mi diha balik. Yes! Vacation time. Philippines. Pag wala ng pag wala na COVID. So that's it, everyone. Thank you so much for being here, for listening to me rambling about my N400 or my naturalization or citizenship interview experience. I do hope that you get something out of it, and I do hope that whatever it is that I'm trying to provide you with, the information that I got or that experience during my interview will help you in such a way to be prepared on your upcoming naturalization. So thank you so much for viewing my video. I hope you like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know when is your naturalization interview, and I will of course respond to you guys. I'll try to answer your questions as much as I can, to the best of my ability, to the best of my knowledge on how or what I experienced during my interview. So thank you so much. I hope you subscribe, and I hope to see you again. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.